the number of sets to do to get maximum hypertrophy is generally measured over the course of a week, but we can also measure over the course of a given session. So in a session, you have the opportunity to grow as much muscle as you can. How many sets do you do? And the answer to that is generally anywhere. This is a real tough answer. You'll really hate this one, Aaron. You're going to love this one. Anywhere between 3 and 12 sets per session per muscle group maximizes the hypertrophic response. Now, for people that have a high proportion of fast twitch motor units and muscle fibers that are really growth prone, for people that are really using unbelievable technique, for people that have a huge mind-muscle connection, I mean, they can turn on their quads like, whoa, from rep 1. From people going very close to failure and even beyond. And for people that are so new to training, curiously with all of these other things, that they either took a break, a deload, or an active rest phase, or it's day 1 of the gym, or this their first 6 months of training, it's more like 3 sets, maximizes the hypertrophy response. As a matter of fact, in the first 2 or 3 weeks of training, 1, 2, and 3 weeks of training, up to 3 weeks of training, I should have said that, it's statistically undifferentiable whether you get more muscle growth from 1 hard working set or 3 hard working sets. So when you're new to the shit, everything works. The worst analogy in the world, but is nonetheless, I think accurate, is like how much thrusting does it take for you to nut for your first time ever when you're like 15 or whatever? And take much, you know what I mean? Like, unless you're very nervous, right? So like if you're fresh and ready, you're like, hey, ta-da.
Is that because it's more when you first start training, it's such a neural stimulus because you're just completely disengaged, like you're completely inhibited in those spaces from like a neuromuscular perspective, and then it kind of transitions into more of like
that's a bit different
synthesis, myofibril or whatever.
That's a bit different. You're quoting a piece of insight that's tangentially related, but not exactly what we're talking about. It's been shown that in the first few weeks of training, most of the strength increase you get is from neural adaptations, not from hypertrophic adaptations. You still grow the fastest you ever will in your first few weeks of training, but like you can double your deadlift in the first 3 weeks of training. You didn't double the size of your glutes. You might even get 10% bigger glutes, but why wouldn't that make your deadlift go up by 10%? Because the nervous system is becoming so used to moving in that pattern and so used to exerting itself, it makes huge gains. The nervous system is the most plastic system in your body, right? Like your muscles don't adapt as fast as well as your nervous system. I mean, like the nervous system beats all, especially the brain. You can learn a new language. That's a completely different way of doing things. The muscles just do this one thing. And sometimes they do it a little bit quicker, a little bit slower, get a little bit bigger, a bit smaller. So that's kind of how I would put that. Yeah. Now, if you are slower twitch, if you're very experienced in training, if you don't have a great mind muscle connection, if you, have a situation where your technique maybe isn't ideal, and if you are pretty far away from failure per set, maybe even within the range of what's normal, but 3 or 4 reps away, not 0 reps away, then maybe 12-ish sets per muscle per session maximizes the hypertrophic response. So the easy answer for this is if you start out with training, first day, do like 1 to 2 sets of everything, maybe just 1 and go home. You'll get really sore, you'll grow a ton of muscle. And then after a while, a few weeks, you'll notice that doing 1 set or 2 sets just isn't, it's not very challenging. It doesn't get you sore. It doesn't get you very tired. You're ready to train again, literally the next hour, definitely the next day. And because you only train chest, let's say twice a week, it's okay. Like I might as well get more stimulus going because I have until Thursday to heal. I trained Monday. You can start increasing the number of sets that you're doing.
Yeah.
So over time, generally people need a little bit more set addition. Once they become sort of intermediates, you train for anywhere between 3 and 7 years, you become so strong and so well connected to your musculature and you're so adapted to training that there's kind of a plateau in how many sets you need. And it can even go down a little bit because now you're making every set so much more effective, especially as you get bigger and stronger. You can impose more damage on your muscles, more tension on your muscles, and then all of a sudden they grow without that many sets. I mean, if you look at, professional bodybuilders' legs, how many sets of 600-pound leg presses does he need to get all of everything he needs out of his quads? Not many. How many sets does Karen at the gym need, who's been training for 8 months and her quads are like the width of 2 of my fingers? She could do 10 sets and maybe needs to do 10 sets to really drive the muscle growth going in there.